My name is Aaron Miller. I've been a correctional officer at Harrison County Jail in Mississippi for 6 years. It's not a big facility, just a few hundred inmates, mostly short sentences or pretrial detainees. I work the graveyard shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., which means I'm alone, with the night and the hum of fluorescent lights. The work is boring most nights, predictable, until the last shift, which changed everything. It was late February. I arrived at 10 p.m., grabbed my flashlight and coffee, and did my usual rounds, checking doors, talking to a few inmates, making sure the halls were secure. Everything seemed normal. Then I saw him on the roster. New inmate 5768. His records were incomplete. Name, background, previous facility, none of it. Just a note: watch closely during night shifts. Does not respond to staff. Normally these notes are ignored, but something about it made my stomach tighten. I shrugged it off. Maybe an old, unresponsive inmate transferred from another county. By 1 a.m. I had done my first round of the West Wing. That's when I noticed him, sitting at the end of the hallway, just beyond the last cell. Not supposed to be out there. Doors locked, surveillance cameras showed no one leaving the wing, and yet he was sitting there, calm, staring at the wall at the far end. I radioed my partner, Officer Jenkins. "Hall's empty, Aaron," he said. I shook my head. "No, he's there, sitting at the end." Jenkins sighed. "You're seeing things. Keep walking." I tried to focus on my rounds, but every time I passed the hallway, he was still there. Same position, same blank stare. Not moving, not saying anything, just waiting. Around 2:30 a.m., the monitors started acting up. Cameras in the West Wing flickered, then froze. When they came back, he was gone. I checked the logs. No doors opened, no alarms triggered, nothing. I tried to reason. Maybe a glitch in the system, maybe someone moved him silently. But the wing was isolated, no staff supposed to enter. By 3:15 a.m., I was pacing. I decided to check the wing myself. Every cell locked, every light on. But cell 12, right next to the hallway, was empty. The inmate 5768 wasn't there. I scrubbed the recording frame by frame. A few frames showed him walking toward me, but I didn't see it live. Then he vanished. I called Jenkins on the radio. Nothing. Dead. I went back to the control room. The lights flickered as I entered. I noticed movement in the corner of the room. Shadow. Crossing the doorway. I grabbed my flashlight. Nothing. Only the monitors. Then one screen caught my eye. Red letters across a live feed. Looking. I froze. My stomach sank. I ran to the hallway. Doors locked. Hall empty. Every cell accounted for, except one. Cell 7. My flashlight flickered as I approached. Door slightly ajar. Inside, the inmate was sitting calmly on the bed. No one else. No equipment, nothing. File said he wasn't assigned there. Yet he was. Just staring at the wall. I backed away, unsure what to do. My hands shook. I reported it to the sergeant over the radio. Dead static. By 4:30 a.m., I tried to check his file again. Nothing. Not even his name. Record system showed temporary hold. No background, no previous location, nothing. I double-checked the paper logs, blank. I walked the halls again, slowly. Every cell, every corner. Empty. Silent. Too silent. Then I heard it. A faint shuffle behind me. Heart pounding. I spun around. Nothing. Just the hum of lights. But the feeling. Someone was following me. Watching. By 5:15 a.m., I returned to cell 7. He was gone again. No sound, no door movement. I reviewed the camera feed, frame by frame. Nothing. The camera froze again. When it came back, the hallway was empty. I started doubting myself. Maybe I was tired, sleep-deprived, but I knew what I had seen. When relief arrived at 6 a.m., I reported the situation. Logs checked, cameras reviewed, no anomalies. Every trace of the incident had disappeared. I didn't sleep for days. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him sitting there in the hallway, watching, waiting, not moving, but present. I resigned 2 days later. No more corrections work. But even now, weeks later, sometimes late at night, I get emails from unknown senders. Screenshots, hallways, empty, except for him in the distance, sitting, waiting. I don't know who he is. I don't know how he moves without leaving a trace. All I know is that he exists somewhere in the system, and maybe he's still watching. I've told myself it's over, that it was just a combination of fatigue, stress, and poor lighting. But then my phone vibrates. Another email, another screenshot. Hallway, empty, except for him, and a note typed in all caps. I see you. I check my apartment, locked secure, windows closed, but the feeling lingers. Always watching, not moving, waiting. I know, somehow, he hasn't stopped, and I'm not sure I ever will feel safe again.
My name is Ryan Ellis, and I've been working as a correctional officer at Maplewood Correctional Facility in upstate New York for 5 years. I'm not a hero, and I don't seek trouble. I work the night shift, monitor the cameras, check the logs, and handle minor incidents. That's it. Routine. Safe. Until last spring, when something happened that made me question everything I thought I knew about my job, the inmates, and even myself. It started on a Tuesday. I just arrived for my 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. The prison felt normal, fluorescent lights buzzing, distant echoes of cell doors clanging, faint murmurs over the PA system. I grabbed my coffee, checked the roster, and noticed an unusual entry. A new inmate had arrived that day, but the file was incomplete. No picture, no background check, and the paperwork listed him as temporary hold, with a note that read, "Monitor closely." His ID number was 3492. That wasn't alarming at first. Temporary holds aren't unusual, but something about the note made me uneasy. By midnight, I had already walked the halls twice and checked the cameras multiple times. Nothing seemed out of place. Then I noticed him. I was monitoring Block C from the control room when my attention was drawn to cell 14. The new inmate was standing perfectly still, facing the wall. His posture was rigid, unnatural. I called over Officer Morales to confirm I wasn't imagining it. She leaned over my shoulder, squinted at the monitor, and whispered, "He's just standing there, like he's waiting for something." I laughed nervously. It's his first night. Maybe he's scared. We left it at that. By 1 a.m., I did another round through the block. When I passed cell 14, the inmate was no longer standing. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, hands on his knees, staring straight at the wall across from him. Not at me, not anywhere else, just the wall. I shook my head, thinking I must be tired, and returned to the control room. Around 2 a.m., the whispers started. At first, I thought they were coming from the other inmates, but as I listened, I realized they were coming from cell 14, Low, indistinct murmurs, almost like he was talking to himself or listening to someone else. I turned up the volume on the camera feed, but the microphones didn't pick up anything. The whispers were there, audible only to me. I called Officer Morales again. She didn't hear anything. "You need some sleep, Ryan," she said. I knew I was not imagining it. I never imagined myself getting paranoid at work, but something about this inmate was wrong. By 3 a.m., my rounds had become a game of avoidance. I didn't want to look into cell 14 too long, but I kept finding myself doing it anyway. Every time I turned away, I had the sense he was moving subtly, adjusting just enough for me to notice when I glanced back. Not fast, not threatening, but deliberate, calculated. At 4 a.m., the control room phone rang. It was Sergeant Duncan, my supervisor. "Ryan, come to the records office, now." His tone made my stomach tighten. I grabbed my flashlight and walked briskly down the hall. The office was empty. Only a single folder lay on the desk, labeled Temporary Hold 3492. I opened it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No background check, no personal information, not even the date he entered the facility. I called Duncan on the radio. No response. I walked out of the office and the hallways were empty. Every door was locked, every light working, and yet I had the feeling I was being watched. At 5 a.m., I did my final check. Cell 14. The inmate was gone. I checked the cameras. No one had entered or exited the block. The doors were locked from the outside. The feed showed him sitting on the bed 1 second, and the next, nothing. I called Morales again. "Where's the inmate in 14?" I asked, trying to sound calm. She looked at the monitor. "He's gone. The cell's empty. But the logs say he hasn't been transferred." I reviewed the footage frame by frame. Every single entry and exit door showed nothing. No one entered, no one left, no glitches, no frozen frames, just empty corridors. When my shift ended at 6 a.m., I walked to the staff parking lot. My car was there, untouched. But as I unlocked it, I noticed a small envelope under the windshield wiper. No markings. Inside, a single note. "Don't stop watching. He is always there." I checked the lot, the entire facility grounds. No one. Just me. I quit that day. I couldn't stay. I couldn't trust what I saw, what I didn't see, and the creeping sense that someone or something was always observing me. Weeks later, I received an anonymous email. A video attachment. It was my living room, recorded while I slept, and sitting silently in the corner was the same inmate. Just watching. Not moving, not making a sound. Just waiting. I don't know who sent it. I don't know how it was recorded. I don't know if he is even real, or if it is some kind of elaborate trick. All I know is that every day I feel like I'm being watched. Every reflection in the window, every shadow in the hall, every sound in my apartment reminds me that something or someone is still there. I no longer feel safe. I no longer feel normal. And I know somewhere that inmate 3492, or whatever he really is, hasn't stopped watching me.
My name is James Whitaker, and I've been a correctional officer at Redwood State Prison in northern Florida for 9 years. I've seen fights, riots, overdoses, and more broken bones than I care to count, but nothing has ever shaken me like what happened last winter. I don't tell this story lightly. In fact, I haven't really told anyone at all because I don't think anyone would believe me. It was January 12th, bitterly cold for Florida. I was working the 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. shift, going through the usual intake logs, checking names and ID numbers. That's when I noticed an unusual transfer order on the screen. Inmate ID 82, maximum security, scheduled to arrive at 10:15 p.m. That number didn't make sense. Redwood assigns 5-digit numbers. The newest inmate before this one was 45721. But this guy, just 82? I thought it was a system glitch and asked Morales, the intake clerk, to double check. She glanced at the screen, shrugged, and said, "It came straight from Central. No notes, no explanation, just process it." At 10:22 p.m., a black Department of Corrections van rolled up to the sally port. I was at the intake desk with Officer Collins when the back doors opened. 2 armed men stepped out. They weren't regular transport officers. They were federal, dressed in dark uniforms with no name tags. They moved silently, efficiently. One of them handed Collins a sealed envelope marked Confidential, Level 5. Inside was one page with a single instruction: house inmate 82 in cell B09. No interaction, no questioning, and no transfers without written authorization. That was it. No charges, no mugshot, no paperwork. When they finally brought the inmate out, I felt my skin tighten. He was tall, maybe 6'3", wearing the standard orange jumpsuit with no ID number. His wrists and ankles were cuffed, and a black hood covered his head. He didn't speak, didn't resist, and didn't seem to breathe heavily. The guards didn't even guide him. He just walked calmly behind him. We escorted him down to B Block, the most secure wing of the prison. By 11:05 p.m., I was posted outside B Block when my radio crackled. Officer Hayes, who was monitoring the cameras, sounded uneasy. "Whitaker, check B09. Something's off." I pulled up the feed. The inmate was sitting perfectly still on the edge of the bed, hands on his knees, head slightly lowered. Nothing unusual except the timestamp. It said 2:47 a.m. I double-checked the wall clock. 11:07 p.m. I looked at Hayes. He was pale. I don't know what's happening. He hasn't moved in 3 hours. Not a blink, not a twitch. And we don't even open B Block until midnight. I tried to tell myself it was a glitch, some sort of delayed recording. But the longer I stared, the more uneasy I became. Around midnight, I checked the master roster. Typing 82 into the database returned nothing. No name, no record, nothing. Cell B09 was listed as unassigned. I reported it to Sergeant Keller. He just said, "Drop it, Whitaker. Orders came from above. Don't question them." Later that night, during my walkthrough, I stopped in front of B09. The inmate was still sitting exactly as before. But then I thought I heard whispering, faint, almost mechanical, overlapping voices, but I couldn't make out any words. I leaned closer. The whispering stopped, and slowly, the inmate lifted his head, and he smiled. I stumbled back, nearly dropping my flashlight. His lips hadn't moved. The next evening, things got worse. The logbook had no mention of his arrival. The transport order was gone. B09 was listed as empty in every system. I ran down to B Block myself. The door was locked, the lights off. I asked Collins if we had moved the inmate. He frowned. What inmate? I checked the security footage. No van, no escort, no transfer. Every digital trace had disappeared. 2 weeks later, at 3 a.m., I was in the control room when the cameras in B Block started glitching. Every screen went black for 10 seconds. When the feed came back, B09 was lit up. On the bed sat inmate 82, hands on his knees, staring straight at the camera.
but B09 had been sealed off for over 10 years. After that, I couldn't sleep. I replayed the footage in my head endlessly. Every hallway, every camera, every minor sound in the prison became suspicious. I quit Redwood the following week. I needed distance, needed my sanity back. 3 nights ago, I received a plain manila envelope in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a single USB drive. I plugged it into my laptop. There was one video file. Security footage from inside my own apartment. I was asleep in bed, and sitting in a chair across from me was inmate 82, watching, silent, calm. I haven't slept properly since. Every creak, every shadow, every faint sound makes me glance over my shoulder. Sometimes I hear whispering in empty rooms. Sometimes I swear I see a figure sitting, watching. I don't know if he's still following me. I don't know who sent the USB. I don't know if I ever will. But I know that what I saw at Redwood wasn't a glitch, and it wasn't a mistake. Something real happened in that prison. Something the records, the cameras, and the system won't admit. And now, it seems, it has found me.